Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and today we're reviewing for you Mouse P.I. for Hire on the Nintendo Switch 2. This review was originally written by the excellent Oliver Revolta and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Okay, broadly speaking, with Mouse P.I. for Hire, we don't have an awful lot to complain about, so for the sake of balance, we're instead going to gently shine a light on its near-absurd mishmash of influences. The striking rubber hose animation hails from the 1920s, as we're sure a lot of you know. However, the 11-hour story with its tough, unsentimental protagonist and its twists and turns through layers of complicated corruption and conspiracy grows directly from the roots of film and literary noir, most often associated with the 1940s, and more specifically 1940s America. And then you've got the hyperactive run-and-gun gameplay weaving and blasting as hectically as any boomer shooter from the 1990s. And even then, a number of quality-of-life features seem to have origins from the 2000s and beyond. It did take a little bit of time, maybe an hour, maybe two, for the game to properly shine for us, but once it did, our playthrough went on and on utterly delightfully. The slow start was forgiven in no time flat, and this tale of Mouse P.I. Jack Pepper soon became one that we needed to see through to its conclusion. Early on, Jack receives a heads up that an old associate has gone missing, and the investigations that follow delve deep into a sequence of potentially connected mysteries. Soon, world-building and storytelling tidbits shone through like light from cracks in a secretive doorway. You learn about some big war that happened in the not-too-distant past. Wonder what that could be referencing. A societal rift within the world so strong that the era beforehand is now known as the Old World. Elsewhere, shrews, which are looked down upon by snobby denizens as an inferior poverty-stricken class, have been mysteriously disappearing. Next, a politician, thanks to Jack's quick wits during an investigation into the Mouseburg Opera House, avoids assassination. More and more threads like this combine within an ever-tightening narrative. A narrative instigated by some combination of a group of fascist rodents, scientists experimenting with forbidden secrets, cults, and at times even more horrific creatures. Every bit of the adventure landed well as we played through. I mean, yeah, the storytelling is a little bit tropey, and you'll never hear quite as many cheese puns as you do within the first few hours, but the well-written script is beautifully underlined with high-quality and delightful voice acting. What's more, the storytelling verve, the visuals, cutscenes, and mood-setting music leave just the right amount of space for characterization, and even for one or two genuinely emotional beats. These great strengths smoothed over our initial concerns that the FPS gameplay might get a little bit repetitive, a little bit too quickly. And in truth, there is a slight sense of routine to the shooting. You know, you reach a new area, fight off waves of enemies that pour out of doors, the start and finish of each wave marked by the ding-ding-ding of a boxing match bell. Cards on the table, 90% of the combat is structured just like this. Essentially battle arenas, I mean, it is very Doom at the end of the day. The other 10% is made up with bosses and some more organic kind of chance encounters in hallways, sewers, woodlands, and the like. This does slightly hamper the early sections of the game, but luckily a sense of progression soon kicks in, which keeps things nice and fresh. You'll be unlocking new moves like double jumps, grappling hooks, and a weird tails spinning around thing, new guns, powerful upgrades for the guns. There's a lot to unlock here. Not only that, but the challenge amps up, and we found ourselves fully engaged with switching between shotguns, automatics, bazookas, and far more besides, while launching ourselves around arenas in the game with a slickness that deftly contrasted the slower, laborious-to-produce look of the animation style. And yes, it's no doubt whatsoever that plenty of hard-wrought animator sweat was poured into this production from start to finish. First-time developers Fumi Games from Warsaw even lampooned this idea early on during an incursion into a shady film studio. Hunched at their desks, mousy animators sketch away while a gunfight erupts around them. On and on they draw without ever looking up. Except for the environments, which are rendered in 3D and do a decent job of keeping up with the overall style, every little detail is animated and it all looks really impressive. New upgrades on your guns click into place, violent kicks to the faces of enemies, shoving fistfuls of bullets into the shotgun to reload, the car bouncing around as you drive across the, let's be honest, very Cuphead feeling map. It's all moving all the time. time. And it's the same thing during combat. You launch into the air, a cartoonish poison-laden gangster dissolving gun chugging into gear, you whip around 180 degrees and suddenly you're face to face with a bat-wielding mob, and all the while animated bullets fizz past your head from the cartoon gunman eyeing you up from the distance. Even the moments of downtime between missions when you return home to piece together clues are teeming with animated characters. There are a few limitations in the style. The mice, rats and shrews are paper-like and flat and can look as much if you catch them from the wrong angle, but realistically animating every possible side and back view for every single asset in the game would have been just a zeppelin of a task. And we all know what happened to the Hindenburg. One thing we were briefly disappointed by was a lack of motion controls. We tried out the mouse controls for the review, but I mean, is anyone really going to play like that? I mean, okay, it's good that it's there, but I don't know, tell me I'm wrong in the comments. And they do work, and if that's an option that you want, and frankly I want the option even though I'm not going to use it, then it's there, and that's a good thing. Performance, while certainly not game-breaking by any means, did stutter at times, and there were even large sections where the game just seemed to really struggle. There are two graphics modes to choose from, quality and performance, quality being 30 frames a second, performance being 60, and quality is a bit more consistent and it's a little bit prettier, but, you know, this isn't the sort of game that should be struggling to hit 60. But in the end, these issues were never really more than minor distractions. We do have one more concern though, and that's that the collecting clues part of the game is, frankly, an unbelievably shallow experience just achieved by completing levels. The game sets it up to be something that you're involved with, but realistically, you're going to be finding pretty much all the clues all the time. You put them up on a board, you progress. There's not really any more to it. Honestly though, when we got used to it, we didn't really mind, and we enjoyed seeing the collected photos, notes, and secret letters take shape as we pinned them to the corkboard in the back of the office. Initially, we weren't sure how well the mixture of influences and styles was going to work with this game, but it's a testament to the attention to detail and polish that's gone into the whole production that Mouse PI for Hire achieves the score that I'm about to read out. The story does take a bit of time to become truly gripping, but it does so at the exact same time as the combat and style reach new levels of quality, and we couldn't help but be impressed. Whilst we can't say that we're stunned or in awe of the clue collecting, we very much enjoyed our playthrough. Mouse PI for Hire feels fresh and fun, and we only have praise for the whole team that produced it. This animated noir mystery is a great achievement. It takes risks, it's challenging, it strives to be bold, and it works. Mouse PI for Hire, you're getting a 9 out of 10 from us. Now that we got the official stuff out of the way, it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and I really enjoyed my time with this game, but I do have to say, Oliver absolutely hits the nail on the head when he talks about the slow start. It actually kind of put me off, and I thought I was kind of done, at least in terms, emotionally, and I thought, oh, I know what this is going to be. I still had to play more, obviously, to get footage and to be able to give my personal thoughts. But I thought I knew what the result was going to be, and I was wrong! It is a weird choice, and it does kind of upset the pacing a bit, and I think it's not a great first impression, to be brutally honest, because it's fine, but it feels like it shows its hand like super early, and it's like, oh, it's just going to be this time and time again, fighting the same 3 kinds of enemies. And you do that, even though they've got like different skins, essentially, different sprites, but they're essentially the same enemy functionally. It gets quite tired, and that happens for a good, 3 or 4 levels, which is a good couple of hours of the game, and then suddenly, more stuff starts happening, and it starts getting really interesting. But it does take it is weird that it takes that long to get going. The combat is really good as well. It's very easy to get kind of pincered by a load of enemies. At first, you sort of think, how are these guys ever going to be able to take me down? But as things ramp up more and more, you suddenly realize, oh god, I need to pay attention, because, yeah, the enemies with bats that are super easy to deal with, now there's like 4 of them behind me as I'm trying to take out this geezer with a sniper rifle or something. I was playing on the hardest difficulty because I'm an irritating overachiever, and I would encourage anyone who's a fan of the genre to do the very same, because it is a reasonable challenge, but even on the hardest difficulty, it's not like it's not super hard. Fun though. I do have a few technical gripes with the game though. Yeah, it's little things overall. The biggest one being that the 60 frames a second performance mode is not as stable as I would like it to be. Realistically, this game, you know, in terms of like its rendering and things like that, it's not doing anything that the Switch 2 shouldn't be able to just deal with super easily. But there are certain areas where I don't know whether it's maybe because it's rendering the entire arena, but even then I don't think it is. You know, because sometimes it runs perfectly well and, you know, when you're looking in a corner, and other times it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that sometimes you get into big open areas and the frame rate is no longer good, like it drops to 30. And that is a shame because I really don't think there's anything here that demands that kind of drop in performance. It's not game-breaking by any means, you know, you can deal with it. It's just a little bit disappointing for a game that... And I mean this in the best possible way, that is visually not very taxing. For the console. Visually, it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm just talking technically for the console. This is not a technically complicated game, or rather it shouldn't be. I also had some weird things happen with cutscenes where they would just desync enormously and like freeze and do some... Like, it's a cutscene. It should be really straightforward, but for some reason, it was really stuttering and... It's just kind of not super acceptable. I really hope they fix it with a patch.
Oh, the contralto. Thick, rough. Like Gorgonzola picante slapped on a mozzarella platter.
Monsieur Jacques?
Having said all that, none of it is enough to break the game, and I still really enjoyed my time. Just bear in mind that the Switch 2 version maybe isn't quite as polished technically as you might hope. Oh, and the lack of motion controls, that is really disappointing. Fumi Games, if you're watching this, please put it in.